Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2 from the Dreamhack Atlanta 2022 playoffs. The world champion you should be the least surprised to see out here. I give you the finisher. It's Serral. Currently ranked 1, without too much of a challenge. We'll see if this upstart, the Korean Protoss. In the top right is a match. We've got Zoun, the challenger. He doesn't get a new nickname until he stops being the underdog, which currently still consistency is the issue with Zoun, as he can compete with the best, but at the same time, sometimes he feels like he's competing the most with himself. Like, we're not too surprised to see him here in the playoffs, but Serral is nothing if not consistent. Probably his main strength. As it's not particularly micro or build orders or anything like that. He's just always seems like the embodiment of Zerg. And I don't mean disgusting bugs, no. I mean always surrounding and making it feel impossible to get anything done without them knowing and stopping it. Now, a bit of late gas for Serral, as it looks like he's interested in multiple hatcheries early. Zoun sent the probe out to make sure Serral was not able to just take that hatchery, but instead, as we all know, the only places you get to take your second base as Zerg are their natural or your third. So Serral sticking to it. Let's see if Zoun bucks the trend here. He tries something that isn't a Stargate, as the Stargate, a staple in every matchup, but essentially the staple in Protoss versus Zerg. And it looks like we're not going to a new office supplier here. We're going to stick with the regular. And Stargate it is. I'm going to make another bold call. That's what you know about me. I'm all about boldness. And I'm going to say that Serral's going to make a lot of queens. I know. A lot of people out there would think that's too risky of a call, but I'm not one to shy away from something. So queens are likely what Serral will produce. Yep, there it is. More queens. Now, when does Zoun take his third? Is it just going to be the Oracle into third, or do we got some a little spicier plan? You got to do something with Serral. Like, you can't just play your standard game, even if it is with the Stargate opener. You got to look for an angle. And even if it's a risk, if it doesn't pay off, well, it'll just expedite your death, is how it feels. Adept shades into the main, spots the queen there, spots the third, gets most of the info. Overlord wanders in. I mean, a very directed wandering, gliding. I guess it's not wandering if you know where you're going, but that's more of a question for the philosophers, or the oracles even. That didn't even work. All right. Well, it looks like we got another CVP, guys. It's going to be an oracle. The second oracle, rather. The first one comes in. The queens will strongly but firmly insist it leaves. It may even kill a larva. Oh, drone pops out into a spore. Alright, the Oracle driven away. Handful of lings out on the map. So far, a creep tumor has died. So 2 Oracles might be a little bit more dangerous to these drones. 2 queens though. That's double the amount of queens he wanted to deal with. Looking for the... Oh, wait. Why is that drone there, Serral? Oh, wow. That's some slick micro there out of Zoun. He gets 7 drones, and he gets out with not too much damage. Dives in, slurps up some drones, and slips right out. So Serral, a bit of a hit. and he doesn't get anything in return. So, good moves from Zoun to start it off. Yeah, this is, like, Serral's very good at absorbing the bullying that the other races will try to lay down in the early game. Whether it's Oracles, Widowmines, Hellions, Liberators, Battle Cruisers, Phoenixes, Adepts, even occasionally you got like Warp Prisms, DTs, Archons, Void Rays, stuff like that. But Serral knows the answer, and the answer usually rhymes with means. And he knows what he means, and what he means is queens. Oh, let's hope something happens very soon before this devolves into just memes instead. +1 melee attack on the way, that option, and then for +2 melee attack later on. Yes, I know how math works. +2 melee attack allowing Banelings to one-shot probes and two-shot Templar and Sentries. So very effective. Even occasionally Baneling drops. Some Archons on the way. Zoun sitting at 65 probes. Looking at a 4th base here. It has been a bit of a sleepy start, but neither side is taking it slowly. Do not be fooled by the lack of mutual murder here. One, because Zoun has not lost any units. And two, because with this Oracle start and Serral's decision to play a more conservative, just macro-based style, there's been no way to really pressure Zoun. +2 melee on the way. And very importantly here, Spire. He's getting a Spire. And he's getting it before an Infestation Pit. He may be going for the Corruptor Roach style, kind of a bludgeon, in order to knock out a 4th base, everything underneath it, before there can be really much splash damage to respond. It could be Mutas. There's a small chance. But I think a safer bet is going to be those Corruptors to both shut down any attempts at early carriers and just maintain air superiority as long as you can, as I say. Well, place your bets on when Serral finally kills a Protoss unit. Oh, there it is! The lowly Observer will actually escape. Wait, will it? Are Queens faster than Observers? Even on creep? Yes, but not by enough. Fun fact for Protoss, it is Mutas. He's gonna try it. Unfortunately, though, Zoun already making Phoenixes. Did he see he saw the Spire. He knows. Well, some of the stasis get caught as Serral throws some Zerglings into him. And finally, yes, the brave Zealot at the Watchtower will be taking out the first blood for Serral. And it won't end there. Another bold call for me, I know. That won't be the end of the game, but instead just the beginning. They may very well fight again before things are concluded. It was a dark and not so stormy night here on Data C, as he chose Archons instead because they're way easier to micro. Well, the Muta is definitely scouted out beforehand as multiple cannons. Phoenixes are already on the field. Are those real Zealots? Yes, those are not changelings. Creating... Oh, everybody notices each other at the same time. Oh, the Phoenixes will chase the Mutas. Wait! Yeah, well, Mutas showing how they die to everything that can shoot back. There's actually only Queens here to answer. 93 drones. Zoun just chilling. He's got Ruptors, he's got Archons, a bit of a clunky army, but a fierce one as well. Everything here well equipped to counter what Serral has, but Serral has so much. He's maxed out. He's got a ton of Banelings. Fun fact, at least 40 Banelings equals 1 ton minimum. And disruptor shot. Don't find much. Another shot. Wow. Oh, stasis and disruptors. He's wandering back, but the disruptor shots are finding connections where they least expect. The Baneling's trying to roll through, but Zoun has picked this army apart. He's done a great job of putting... Oh my god, the stasis traps the queen! He's chopped it up into manageable pieces here, and he's biting them one by one. Yeah, you need all the Banelings together. The smaller the army for Zerg, the easier it is to deal with. And here we see, well, the Mutas are still trying to get something done, but Zoun has dealt with it all. Right now, Zoun is in the driver's seat, and Serral is just trying to outmaneuver him. There's a fleet beacon on the way. Surprisingly late in the scheme of things. More disruptor shots. A huge chunk of Banelings. Will Serral be able to dodge all of these disruptor hits, though? He looks for another one targeted down. Archon's holding the line. Still more. There's no more disruptors, and without them, the shields are stripped away. The recall at the last second, he gets the Archons and most of the Ruptors out. And Zoun, while he loses the battle, the war is still very much in doubt. We got more Stargates on the way in the main. Adrenal glands for Serral. Greater Spire is the choice, as he wants something to deal with the ground. Still, Zoun maintains his economy. He's on 4 bases. The Queen's wandering a friend. No! No, what are you doing out here? There's no other anti-air. Oh, we've made a huge mistake. Though the armor upgrades are kicking in against those unupgraded air. Yeah, well... yeah, you can really see that even +1 Carapace really does help. Well, that Queen will never touch ground again. But the Corruptors come in angrily. And the battle will go on. Another Oracle lost. Zoun is his trademark disruptors flinging every which way. Things have heated up dramatically since that 8.5-minute mark when we saw the first Protoss unit die. But Serral is no closer to finding critical damage. He's got Broodlords on the way. But are Broodlords the answer right now? Enough Broodlords to force back the Archons and the Ruptors. That could be it. But Zoun already has 3 Tempests in the production tab. He's going for Blink. He's going for +3 ground attack, +1 air weapons. He's got Zealots countering, and Serral doesn't even cancel that. Oh, it's a couple hundred minerals, but those are starting to add up as neither player is particularly rich, and they're both maxed out. All right. Oh my god, those Archons are just too thick. Their biggest weakness. Their biggest weakness is their greatest strength. The sheer magnitude of which they occupy. His Archons are... There's so many Archons. I hesitate to say too many, because the question... I don't know if you can ever answer the question of whether or not that there's too many Archons. There's too many not Archons getting in the way is usually the problem. How many is it? It's only 7. Well, War Prism is scouted. We got Storm. Storm. Yep. No, not now. Not now. Go back. I don't... We'll see if it actually finds use here. We're going to be very important against the amount of Banelings underneath. Especially with the Broodlords fighting through all this. Yeah, more Templar. That's a lot of Banelings. +3 attack. That doesn't make it that much easier to kill the Archons. The Gatekeepers here. Oh my. Well, Adrenal Gland Zerglings. The probes on the run. They're not getting far. Though I don't think Zoun really needed them. Neural Parasite. Honestly, at this stage, maybe borrowing some Protoss units would be the best option. You don't always see Tempest countering Banelings, but here we are. Tectonic Destabilizers, one of the coolest sounding and most effective upgrades in general. Adding a ton, about +40 building damage. That's the right number, right? Something like that. It's a whole lot. It Dorito dust those Tempest attacks for maximum anti-building capabilities. Good for dealing with those Sporus, like the ones that Serral is starting to set up here. Serral now, we're going. Here we are. Welcome, everyone. The late game. As Zoun presses all the buttons he hasn't yet so far on his buildings. +2 air, +1 shields, +1 armor. Gravitic drive. Wait, is that observer? No, he already has observer speed. He's going for prism speed now. Serral already pressing a lot of those buttons. Got neural parasite. He doesn't actually have pathogen glands, but he's working on it now. This is an interesting scenario where neither army is particularly capable of fighting each other, but he gets there and cancels the base in time, but the Tempests are going to drive everything back, and this might lead to our first face-off of the supreme late-game units. The army value in favor of Serral, who's now building an Ultralisk Cavern, is an additional anti-ground option. Okay, the Phoenix is basking in the glory that is Spore Crawlers. It appears Zoun may have forgotten. Okay, I think Carbot covered this nicely in his documentaries. Recall. Now the most unhappy loot box. Now Serral backs off. Can't take the chance. Here comes the army. Bringing everything together is Zoun, but here are the Brood Lords. Is this the... I don't know if it's the first time they've been spotted, but they are clearly revealed here. Same thing, well, Zoun has been hiding his carriers. But is he actually hiding them? No. He was just finished them up and is now bringing them out. How many Corruptors? 14 Corruptors. That's a bit on the low side here. Especially considering how many Archons and Templar are underneath. Zoun actually finished the base. All right, then. Ah, yes. The battle begins. No Vipers. At least no Vipers last I checked. The Stalkers... the Roach is getting very, very personal. We may have to cut the map in half vertically as opposed to horizontally. The way things are going here. Recall on cooldown. And also, you don't really want to recall at this stage. Bring your army too far out of position. He didn't... Is there an observer? Where are the observers? They're on their way over. They're pretty fast. He's now... Oh, Serral didn't have Vipe. He's now building them, but they're not going to have energy. Disruptor shot clips the Queens, zoning out the Infestors, eating big hits here, but the Disruptors. Serral somehow dodges them. Meanwhile, though, the Brood Lords will take out one Ruptor. The Queen's taking a lot of damage. The Vipers are needed to Parasitic Bomb. One, that does a lot of damage to Tempest. But also, ideally, you Parasitic Bomb the carriers, and then dive on them with the Corruptors, which draws the Interceptors into the Parasitic Bomb, thus killing a whole bunch of them. It is a bit of a convoluted fight, but it is the most effective way to wipe out those Interceptors. The thing is, Zoun has opted for a more Tempest-heavy composition. He's got 6 Tempests and only 4 carriers. So the real threat is not so much the Interceptors or the Swarm, the Golden Swarm, but instead the actual stopping power of the Tempest here, which Corruptors can counter if you can deal with the Archons. Looks like everything's been cleaned up on this side of things for now. Zoun just kind of isolates and kills the base. We got Ultras and Ultra upgrades on the way, but Serral has decided he needs a bit more on the Corruptor count. I would agree. The Vipers are going to be, well, and best case scenario, you get those Yanks off, the tactical abducts. I want to point out, Zoun has not opted to lose 400 minerals and 400 gas. All right? I want to point that out. He has not built a mothership, which is the greatest liability a Protoss can build. The Brood Lords are actually here on the north side, which frees up the center of the map. Even though he might catch some of these Archons, a lot of the army, well, there are some Ultralisks here. He's going to storm them, but those Ultralisks will just chew right through. He actually has to recall out. The Ultras are too much. Wow, the Ultras finding some utility there. There's no Immortals. Zoun starts the Immortals immediately. The surprise Ultras. Meanwhile, this fight is happening, and the Archons are definitely losing that one. Get over here. Almost pulls them directly into the Vipers, which would be less than ideal. But the DTs warping. Oh no! I just complimented you, Zhoun. He starts the mothership. Something to force the units to close the distance, but also the GTs. What was back here? We're looking for tech buildings. Okay, he didn't kill any key tech buildings, as Serral does have them all in the main, which could be a liability. There's a warp prism off the corner of the map here. He did kill a hatch. The DT is getting taken out. Well, we'll have to see how the mothership works out. On paper, the mothership... Ooh, that's a very dead stock. On paper, the mothership is good. You can make it that much harder to land any spells. Like, you can't target Parasitic Bomb in the air. You have to find a unit to actually target it on. Mothership isn't a bad choice, but that also cloaks the Templar and the Archons, everything underneath. It makes it that much harder to deal with the army. But on the other side of things, it is a very large target. You don't get a larger target. And if out of position for a split second, which does not take long, is one of the easiest to take out. Alright, so things slowing down. But the army is getting more and more expensive. Serral has 3,700 gas in the bank. Zoun at only 1,500. Beautiful revelation. Spots everything important here. Vipers and Infestors. Vipers at full energy, but John's actually taken the center base with the rich Vespene gas. Serral's doing the same on his side. Ultra counter. How many cannons? He's just building more cannons. Oh my god, it's turning into a campaign mission. Because John is over here playing characters. Essentially, I mean... Well, there's the mothership. The death balls are coming together. They're just kind of coagulating, as they do. The Vipers, the center point of Serral's army, even if they want to be well protected. And the mothership, the obvious center point of Zhoun's army. As we're working on... Oh, is that +3? Yeah, getting +1 air armor, but +3 air weapons and +3 shields for Zhoun. Whoa. Oh. Well, Serral still has a lot of work to do when it comes to dealing with the army directly. Wow. Okay, well here's Zhoun. It's not going to be a counterattack. It's a full-on fight. Serral wants to defend this. That's still a lot of interceptors. He's got 64, 8 carriers. Oh, feedbacks! And that's the cloak right there. The mothership cloak. Big feedbacks. But he actually kills a bunch of the Templar. Meanwhile, the Ultras find a bit of a more realistic option, which is the Ridge of Vespene base on the other side. I think a DT came in and immediately got chopped up, but Serral losing a few Corruptors here. Both sides going to trade those center bases and rebuild the army and not workers, as the army supplies become over 3/4 of that 200. Beautiful revelation. Beautiful revelation from Zhoun. That is so important in this fight. Keeping that revelation on the spellcasters is the key to success. You need to know where those infestors are. The Infestors and the Vipers, especially the Wombo combo potential, is too damn high. And that is how you lose this fight as the Protoss. More feedbacks. Another great revelation. Oh, gets fungled here. The Broodlords are going to do some work, but they're also going to take a storm. Where are the Vipers? Where are the Vipers? The Vipers need to get involved. I don't see. There's a parasitic bomb on everything. The Corruptor's got to close the distance. The Archons underneath. Neuroparasite hitting whatever he can. I can't tell what's going on. The carriers are taking a lot of damage. The mothership can't be neuroparasited. The ground army's gone. The Corruptors. I mean, the Archons are dead. The Corruptors are dying. He's gonna recall what? The survivors? Okay. So Serral won the ground fight, and somehow the mothership was actually really the only unit to live, and a carrier left behind. But Serral actually wiped out the ground army, partially with the ground army. But he doesn't really have an army to push now. He did lose. He's got to make some more Brood Lords here out of the surviving Corruptors. So it worked out. But now he actually has to deal with a more ground-based army out of town. And Broodlords are good, but they're not known for their agility. They are not a quick unit. The Tempest, a bit of a liability in that fight, as the Tempest, 1, got null parasited, and 2, just not great at dealing with Corruptors. They just don't have that damage. Serral still hasn't really been able to hold on to any of the southern bases, but Zoun is also struggling. They're both kind of remaxed out. The Blinkstalkers are forcing the Ultras away. The Ultras have their upgrades, which means they just get out ahead of the Broodlord. At some point, I assume a DT or something dealt with the rich Vespene base. I mean, so did the army. Multiple times here. Blinkstalkers finding value at this late stage. That is the problem with Serral's army, is they can't move around particularly quick. He needs to force a fight and deal with these mining bases. Like, he needs to find a base and knock it out without losing his key units. If he could go back to Zerglings, he would. But he's not rich. Like, look at Serral's money. Zoun too, but... Oh, the Corruptors try to take out the Nexus. He lost a couple. More Tempest on the way. Zoun is not willing to give up air superiority. Which... bold move after the losses he took in the last fight. He's kind of banking on Serral not having enough army supply to actually fight him in the air. Like, if he converts too many of those... there's no going back. Like, you can turn a Corruptor into a Broodlord, but you can't turn a Broodlord into a Corruptor. Alright? That ship has sailed. Ultras finding a lot of space in this game. That War Prism is still in the corner over there. Broodlord's working his way through. Still a very dangerous army from Zoun. He's got a lot more Vipers. Not Vipers, he has no Vipers. Void Race. Gets a Tempest. Oh, gets an Oracle. Gets another one! Oh, you need those Oracles. Immediately starts a new one. Gotta transfuse those Ultralisks. Serral has only 2 Queens left! Oh, I poked my own eye. Oh, God. Oh, well. That's fair. No blinking for me. What a dangerous game. Speaking of blinks, the Stalkers outmaneuvering Ultras. Who, yeah, no, they might go fast, but they can't teleport. So, we got some Banelings on the way. It's a dangerous job, guys. It's a very... like and subscribe. There's a lot of hazards. Alright, Void Race, Carriers. Is that the Roach Warren? Okay. There's a Roach Warren out here. Not sure. I don't think we've seen a Roach in like 20 minutes. Zoun has managed to take this base, which at one point Serral was mining from. Yeah, we're just slicing it in half vertically now. What are the unit compositions? We got 4 Vipers, 8 Infestors, 28 Corruptors for the anti-air for Serral. 4 Tempests, 8 Carriers, 5 Templar, Mothership, Void Ray. So, on paper, they both have more than enough capability to obliterate each other. Serral has enough spellcasters to really lay down the wombo combo. The fungal parasitic bomb, even neural parasite. But at the same time, Zoun could easily catch enough of those units out and melt through them with Storm, Feedback, just the Carriers and Tempest and Void Rays. Oh my. And don't forget that you can fight Zerglings with probes. Not where I started that sentence, but it's where it ended up. The Mothership has Time Warp to reduce the movement speed of a lot of these units that are going to want to try to dive on the army. The Mothership is at full energy, so that's 2 Time Warps right there. We haven't seen someone use the recall on the Mothership in a while, but I wouldn't rule it out entirely. Well, the Tempest showing their prowess at anti-building damage for sure. Revelation, a single Templar looking for an opportunity. Oh no, the Changelings body block the Infestors! Oh! That Templar gets some kills, even with the reduced damage feedback. Those Infestors not known for their thin posteriors. Well, Serral, if now you're gonna now or really never is the secondary option. Some feedbacks come out. He's already lost a lot of energy here. He's now being very cost effective. Oh, he yanks it in. Now Time Warp. Kind of off center on that one. Just zoning. Storms on everything, including his own carriers. How many more Templar underneath the Broodlings are zoning? But the Mothership protects them. Serral getting forced back. Zoun has already lost a lot. He's building 5 Infestors and 11 Corruptors. How many more Templar are there even underneath here? He's only got 2 Templar under there. Couple more Templar coming in. A warping of Stalkers. The Oracle gets blasted down, but gets a good revelation first. Here comes Zoun. Serral's running out of real estate. And meanwhile, Time Warp. Time Warp beautifully placed there. Parasitic Bomb. No, Storms are amazing. Parasitic Bomb on the Mothership. But the Time Warp into Storms. Oh, Serral taps out before even the fight ends. Oh. Okay, real quick. Oh, the Time Warp was so good. He knew exactly the angle. Here we go. Storm hits everything. Knocks out. It didn't actually kill the Viper. Parasitic Bomb only hit the Mothership, which seems like a lot, but it doesn't actually increase the radius. And that means the Corruptors are already getting murdered. The ground army was gone. Wow, look what happens to the Ultras here. Yeah, he tries to get through. But guess what? The Immortals and Archons come in. The Ultras just implode. And that means the Archons are free before he can even close the distance. The Parasitic Bomb on the Mothership is not that effective because the Mothership takes up a lot of that space. Even though it looks like a big radius, it is probably one of the least ideal targets. But, of course, the Mothership cloaks everything and makes it hard to actually cast on anything else. So, Serral just taps it out. Wow. All right, time to go back to the spawning pool on that one. Game 1 goes to Zoun. And, yeah, I gotta say, the Mothership, the game winning. Wow. The Mothership definitely contributing in a positive way. Jimmy, game 2. Well, Zoun sending a probe out at the beginning of the game. Not even bothering with the pylon. Gonna make sure he blocks that base. That's the play. Oh. Tough times. Serral is supposed to be the answer. Like, he's the one who knows how to beat Sky Toss. But Zoun, nothing really happened, and then he eventually just kind of had the Sky Toss. Serral let him go. I don't know if he'll let him do that again. Also, that was the map to do it. I don't think we should count the finisher out yet. Believe it or not, he's still pretty good. Wait, what? Oh, pull first? Yeah, pull first. And then he just pulled the probe in. I'm so... My eyes, I thought, were deceiving me when I saw Serral get his natural. But he went for pull first. Probe comes in like, huh, you're not even trying for this. And then Serral snuck a drone out. Got his natural. Which is the real win of going pull first here. Wow, this is Zoun's response. So, he's taking it very seriously. Even though Serral builds a total, is it 2? Just 2? He built 2 Zerglings. Zoun delays his Nexus. He walls off with a pylon and gets his Cyber Core Leaf with the Nexus. Wow. Okay. So Serral has forced a strong response for the minimum investment, which I think he comes out significantly ahead in the mind games and the economy right now. If it was like 8-10 lings, yeah, you do need to wall off, but I think he's misreading how quick that pool was. Or wasn't in this case. Serral just takes a third. I think he realized he came in already with the Ovi. He's coming in again for another pass. And that will give it away. He's going to see the Nexus. And he may lose it to the Stalker here. But that'll also give away the building of a Stalker. Depth. Looking for drones. Not going to find it. Will he get to shade away? No! Get off my lawn. Serral even gets the Adept. Tough start. Nothing left to stop the creep. The Stalker actually went to the main. Serral threatened it. He kept the Ovi alive by threatening to go to the main with it, which kept the Stalker in the main, and means the Ovi will live long enough to get back to the little pervert pillar there where it can watch everything. At least everything in that area. It likes to watch. Zoun is, well, we're not on the Stargate train this time. It's a robotics bay. And obviously a robo. So is this a Ruptor drop or just straight up Immortal? He's got a Prism on the way. It's looking like a Ruptor drop rush. Which is certainly something. I say, really narrowing down the options. Yeah, trying to take back the initiative here. Sending out the Adepts can definitely prompt the Roaches, and what better unit to counter with Ruptors? There are a few better units. Wow, Gravitic Drive. He's going for the Prism speed. Yeah, here we go. Well, Zoun, he loves Disruptors. They don't always love him, but they're a staple unit. Oh, no, it's not an opposition! Come back here! Ooh. No reason to give this away too early. There we go. There is a Roach one, but it's just been Zergling so far. I'm sure Serral, he noticed the Observer. And if he noticed the Observer, well, I was going to say he knows that there's a Robo, but he also knows that there's a Robo because there's a Warp Prism. And the Warp Prism has speed, so if he didn't give it all away yet, he's about to. Yeah. Well, this isn't going great. That means there's a Robo Bay. That means that's probably not like 2 Adepts. Unfortunately, this doesn't seem to be doing anything. As the Zerglings already in position there. Gonna try to fire a shot off. Looking for the mineral line. Fires a shot. 3 drones. That is more than nothing. He's gonna try to outmaneuver the queens and will succeed. As the observer gives him some vision there. Just flies right through the base. Alright. I mean, you're not gonna catch it. Behind the Zoun is a macroing fiendishly. As he gets +1. Blink, he's going up to 7 gates. He's got 63 probes to 70 drones, so keeping himself busy on that. And the Zerglings keeping very close watch on it. It's like a curling match. One of the oddest, one of the oddest sports since curling itself. All right, a little. The Zerglings making sure that is a correctly discouraged prism. The Spore Crawler getting another couple hits on the way out. And Zoun looking for a 4th base. There's a Lunker Den on the way. A Hive. +1 ranged attack for Serral, who actually gets a little supply block. A Changeling. Still has that Ruptor. Will Zoun move out? 7 gates here. Alright. Oh my, what are you doing? Wow, that was optimistic. Point blank. Maybe didn't realize which disruptor he had selected there for a moment. Wow. Classic Zoun. There's some Vipers on the way here. The kind of surprising but effective counter. Oh, beautiful split from Serral. Gets 1 Ravadir. There's a lot more than its friend got. Well, this is not going great. The Stalker's trying to move into the space created here. So, not really carving out enough. The Abducts are going to be up momentarily. I'm not sure Zoun spotted the Vipers yet. Disruptor looking to zone. Oh, no. Well, the double Abduct. And suddenly the only thing keeping these roaches from streaming through here is a shutdown. Yeah, that is not great here for Zoun. It's going from optimistic to desperate very quickly. 1 more shot. Jimmy, can we check that card again? Well, he loves his Ruptors. But once again, they don't always love him. Gets 1. What about the other one? No energy. Well, turns it around. There is Lurker range on the way. Somehow he's still sticking around. I'm not, like... Roaches are just not cutting it here. But at some point, like the Warper's in the back. He's got to find a shot. The cooldown is not yet up. Watch out! Oh, the Corruptors. Nope. Corrosive Bile. Surprisingly close wording. Corrosive Bile. Not quite enough. But any space for Serral means, well, 1, he's maxed out still. He didn't really take any economic damage. He was pushed up against his own hatchery, but most of the damage has been dealt by the Vipers. And you can't really slow down if you're Zoun. You got to keep the pressure on because Serral obviously has a Hive done. And it's not going to get, well, the Disruptors, he's going fishing. But he's not coming up with anything. He has not leveled up that fishing skill enough to get Serral to take the bait. Well, it's not. He's off creep now, so that's something. Disruptor's not the most. Oh wow, he is. If I hadn't watched Haz in DreamHack, I would think Zoun is the least accurate disruptor player out there. But at the very least, he hits nothing instead of his own units, which is better. There's nope, they're still on cooldown. It's getting a little rough to watch here, but there goes a Viper. Those are another shot. Okay, we'll just, wow, he actually killed something. He lost the Ruptor there. Yeah, those are stalkers against ranged lurkers, by the way. Oh, get over here! And wow, what a save! What a save! That Prism lives. It has no right to, but it goes left at the right time. That was a long distance yank. Interrupter. Oh my god. That thing is way too fast for its own good. This is an argument against Warp Prism speed. You shouldn't get Warp Prism speed because when you select all army too hard, it'll fly too fast into the Hydralisks. Save 100, 100, and a Warp Prism today. It'll also encourage you to micro Warp Prisms, which, I mean, since Zoun is probably better than you, here we are. Oh. Well, now what? The lurkers have finally... It's been a battle, but they finally showed up. And what is the answer? Well, Zoun, what do you have to counter lurkers at this stage? He's been sitting on stalkers and zealots, and what disruptors he had have been eliminated. All right, that does seem like a counter, though not the ideal one for Zoun fans out there. He loses a Nexus and decides, that's enough of that. I tried. It appears that Serral more than comfortable with the ground Protoss. A very optimistic Prism speed build from Zoun. Though, yeah, Serral not impressed. That time. He's gonna need to bring something a little bit more reliable to the table to deal with the finisher. All right, game 3. Cosmic Sapphire. Serral puts one back. Wow, he's even gonna try to block the hatch on Cosmic Sapphire. I don't know if you can block the hatch even with the probe going out at the beginning of the game. Depends on if Serral goes for like a 15 hatch or anything later, I think. He's very committed to the idea, though. The pull first worked well. Like, I think Zoun overreacted. I guess you can. Well, Serral doesn't care. Well, I'm used to it by now, he says. Already rallied to the third preemptively, without seeing the probe, without seeing anything. Spawning pool. We're off to the typical start here. Zoun with a Nexus. We're gonna go back to the Stargate. Would that be bold? No, it would not. But it wouldn't be surprising. We've seen some double Phoenix builds. Double Stargate Phoenix. Something to catch him off guard. I mean, Zoun played perfectly well. He played great in the SkyToss game. I know it's hard to give credit to SkyToss players, but he carved out enough of the map. He held on to it. And he eventually forced the decisive fight with him at the advantage. Serral is very good at winning small battles and eventually having them add up into an insurmountable lead. But Zoun actually had the advantage in most of the fights. So we didn't see those little small advantages add up and add up and add up and force Zoun into an awkward unit composition. No, he kept it together even when he lost the first army. The Mothership ended up being the decisive factor. It's going to be a Stargate. Adept doing its shading. Throwing shade. It's what it does. Very good at it. Signs through the creep. I'm going to check for the third. Yep. Check the main. See the drone count, the gas. You up to any shenanigans? Nope. So even thought about pulling drones for it for a sec. It doesn't shade through. And now gets on out of there. Before speed finishes right around that 330 mark. And we're off to a comfortable and expected start. Here we go again. I gotta admit, full disclosure here for my friends out there who've survived this long. Don't worry, you watch this long of the series, you're gonna watch the rest. Don't worry about it. This is the most boring part of almost any matchup. I am so sick of casting. Like, looks like he's gonna do nothing for like 5 minutes while an Oracle comes out, and then the Oracle might get a kill or two. But wait, there's some queens! Like, yeah. Makes me feel like I'm casting an Age of Empires game with how little happens in the early game PvZ if we start Stargate. But, I mean, at least it's not every game, especially with... Oh my god, he's gonna kill a drone or two! Yeah, well, that's what happens when you're like 3 seconds late on your Spore. To spice things up, we do have a Void Ray. Which will burn through the Ovi and create a little bit of doubt here for Serral, as we've seen some heavy Void Ray builds. It's not what we're looking at here, but you can never be sure, as without Overlord speed, it's going to be almost impossible to scout. For now. And if you go Overlord speed and you do scout a mass Void Ray build, you've just spent 100-100 on something that doesn't directly counter it. Kind of leans you heavily into like a Queen all-in-er, German taxi build or something like that. Melee attack. Templar. Whoa. Templar Archives. Had to make sure we had the appropriate preface to that, as it's looking to be like a Charge Lot Archon follow-up. A Prism on the way. The Prism almost always indicates aggression. If we're not nearing a max out, the Prism is to open up the opportunity to attack, as otherwise you're warping units in your own base. Serral saw the Prism on the way, though, I think. Yeah, and he's starting roaches. He's a little supply blocked. In fact, he's quite supply blocked. He just started some movies, which means these Archons are not happening at all, because Zoun did not have enough... What are you doing? Oh my god. Oh my god. Ah! Well, the Zerglings zone out long enough to get the roaches out. So, I'm gonna jump in the gun a bit with those Zerglings in position to potentially kill the Templars they warp in. Awkward fight here. Queens will throw back the Void Ray, but Warp Prism again. He loves that Warp Prism micro. That's Zoun seems to be his favorite thing. Juggling units, and I bet against 9 out of 10, well, essentially non-Serral Zergs, I bet this is incredibly effective. Serral is a master of the balanced response. No, I don't mean the David Kim style. I mean the not overbuilding units, but still having enough to shut down aggression. Like right now, he's at 67 drones. He has more than enough to deal with this Prism, and he's going to be continuing drone like he's going up towards 80-something. And what does Zoun have on the other side? He doesn't have any sort of follow-up to this. This was supposed to keep Serral busy as long as possible. And how long did it keep Serral busy? 30 seconds, if that? So it did not get the time. It did not buy the time he was looking to purchase. A Spire and a Hive start for Serral as he threatens a Roach attack. Zoun is back to the Disruptors. Any excuse, really. He sees a roach. He's like, disruptor time. Let's go. Well, we'll see how it goes for him. Is he going to trade out his Archons here for Ruptors in the Prism? We'll see how that goes. One Zealot has died so far. The Observer, actually, has he spotted the Hive? He has not spotted the Hive yet. Actually, very important here. The Greater Spire, I think, is going to end up being the decisive factor. +1 is done for Zoun, as well as the melee attack here for Serral. Still 2 Archons in that Prism. Ah, yes, we're going to do some roach curling now. Not as reliable, but much more amusing than the Zergling curling. Billy, get out of the way. Nope, keep going. All right. And then they left the creep and leave him alone. Unfortunately, the creep keeps spreading. But you know, this is kind of what it does. Viper's on the way. Another incredibly passive start. Mostly because Serral has shut down any of Zoun's aggression before it really started. And now we're at 200 supply, with Zoun losing 3 Zealots. That's it. That's all that's happened. Serral's maxed out at 9 minutes with a Hive. Oh, the Vipers are here recalls. Wait, does that work? Can you recall out of... I thought he might try to abduct, but... I'm not sure if it makes you invulnerable to abduct. I don't think so. It might. It's kind of a weird scenario. The Vipers are obviously revealed. Greater Spire on the way. Banelings. Playing that 10-minute no rush here on Cosmic Sapphire. Beautiful revelation. Gonna see disaster headed straight towards him. Is there a storm? There's no storm, just feedbacks, but feedback comes through. Disruptor shot clips the Banelings. Another revelation. Gonna spot the Vipers. Oh, more disruptors wandering through. And the Banelings crashing in. Getting through the Archons. Disruptors through the front line of the Archons. A quite dramatic fight for almost nothing changing hands there. Oh, but more Banelings coming in. The Templar having a tough time leading the charge. But the Zealots... Serral didn't lose enough supply to reinforce. The Zealots, he's got to have the Zerglings deal with them. Well, yeah, the Zerglings have +2 in adrenal glands, so not that hard to deal with Zealots. So overall, Serral just bashes down the first attack. Zoun is forced away. But off of creep, Serral doesn't really have any options. It's Broodlords. That's the Broodlord's job. That's what's up next. Yep. Here we go. The Observer may... Yep, it sees the Broods. Let's see if Zoun is looking. Moving his Observers around. But if he... Yeah, well, he knows it's... What do you feel? That's not what those are for. Hey. Serral looking around. We've already got Fleet Beacon on the way. Serral wants to make an issue of this gold base. Ooh, juicy hit. It's not like he's trying to free up supply. Serral doesn't really have the gas right now. He's using all of it. Both sides pretty light on the gas and heavy on the minerals. So we're going to see a lot of Zealots, a lot of Zerglings, and maybe a little skittishness on fighting with the actual army. But here comes Zoun. Does he have an Oracle? There is no Oracle for Revelation, which could be disastrous. Disruptor. Oh my god, the Disruptor hits the Zealots. Looking for Banelings. Clips a Queen. But everything else, the Broodlords are going to work through. He wants the base. He's not going to get it. Zealots. Zergling counter. Going to deal with it. A whole lot of Zealots. They're the little off-center here. The Broodlings are on the chase. Full energy Vipers. What's the pull? He gets the Ruptors. All right. Easily taken down and unleashes the Broodlings. +1 armor, +1 shields now done. On the ground, at least, there's no air units to deal with these Broodlords. Blunks forward. Blinding Cloud stops the units from being able to fire back. Viper's still at full energy. There's no Templar for feedback. Gets a couple Archons for almost 3 there. Which, you know, price Serral's willing to pay. The Vipers are just carving apart the army. The Banelings are rolling in, but still a disruptor for Zoun, gonna force them back. There's no army to deal. Where are the Tempests? Where are the Couriers? Where are the Templar? They're missing in action right now, and that means that base is gonna go down. Zoun loses the gold. He's gonna be forced to expand to the north. He loses a key mining location, and Serral is slowly but surely taking the map into his hands. Tempest. This wasn't Skytoss forcing out the Broodlords. This is the Broodlords preemptively built to deal with the ground army. And now, what does Zoun have to deal with the Broods? He's building Tempest, but Serral can easily pick out as many Corruptors as he needs. This is a very comfortable position in what is usually an awkward stage of the game for Zerg, which is that supreme late game with the armies maxed out. Serral gets to take the initiative, where he decides where the fight's going to be with the Broodlords and the Vipers, and Zoun is going to have to react. And that's reflected in the banks here, with Serral over double, 2,300. Oh my god, the Banelings crash through the cannons, and everything else. Zoun trying to respond. This is just a ground army. Well, the Banelings trying to get out. Zerglings are exactly what he wants to sacrifice here. Down goes the Nexus. The army going to be wasted on cleaning this up. The Broodlords are going to protect the northern base from a massive amount of Zealots, which are trying to do a repeat of what Serral just did. +1 Carapace done, +2 air attack is on the way. We got some Infestors. Does he have Pathogen Glands? No. But Neural Parasite and Burrow are next up. Alright, the Tempest count. Tempest still not an ideal unit. They're a stopgap for dealing with the Broodlords. Wow, that's a lot of Tempest. Serral actually getting supply blocked here. At 199 supply, but he's not going to be able to rebuild for a bit. Kind of awkward. We have over here. Big counter. More probes vulnerable, +3 melee. Oh, that's a questionable recall. Oh, he gets the Templar! Oh, no! The only choice was air units. He brought some Templar along with it. The Banelings stuck around, and happy they are. Oh, no. That was all of the Templar. Oh, no. I don't know how... It was 4 or 5 of them. Those were very important Templar. Oh, every Templar is important. Okay, but of the Templar we've had in this game, those were the key. And now, all the energy gone. The gas, which Zoun cannot afford to replace. Zealots running from the Banelings. Now thrown in, actually well diffused. We're going to be able to deal with this with the Zealots. Serral, still, it feels like he shored up any of the weaknesses from game 1. And now he's got to pick a fight. He's got to find a winning fight. Or does he, I guess, is the question. Because if he does enough economic damage, at some point, Zoun is just all in. Because Serral is mining off of his entire half the map. Zoun is struggling to hold on to a mining base. He's taking the gold base again. Even Zerglings, as well as Banelings, should be enough to deal with this. Knocks out the Nexus. Now it's just the gold base for Zoun. That's Templar. Mothership. Potential saving grace. Or nail in the coffin. We'll find out. The Link Stalker's up north. There's actually no answer here. Yeah, both players are maxed out. This still could go very wrong for Serral. All his units are incredibly fragile. If they're not all together in the right spot, the Skytoss Templar Archon army could easily wipe the floor and the skies. That mothership is a big question mark. Oh, beautiful. It recalls. There you go. It's the recall out. Not ideal. Those are changelings. Okay. Observer spots it all. A lot of Roachling Bane. Well, one Ravager and then a bunch of Lings and Banes. Crashes through the shield batteries. That pylon. Oh, it doesn't actually cancel the warping, but we'll just delete the rest of the units. Those Zerglings do way too much damage. The Banelings crash through all the defenses. Zoun trying desperately to respond, not finding it. He's getting dragged left and right. At some point, he might just have to go up the center. Serral not... He just keeps bringing everything closer. Wow! 3,000 more gas lost. That is an incredible disparity. Especially, like, double at this stage. Almost. And a couple thousand more minerals, but that is an... Especially considering what units Zoun is building, that just tells you how good Serral is at picking apart those key units. Leaving them exposed. This has gone so much better than Game 1 for Serral. He's found every opportunity was denied before. The Stalkers, is it worth several, like, is it worth like 1,200 minerals of Stalkers? To kill one hatchery that he's going to rebuild before the Stalkers even finish dying? It's not like Zoun was pretty... Let's not pretend like he's freed up supply either. Because he cannot replace them. Gets an Oracle. The Zerglings. Like, the mothership is here. I think Zoun's decided it's time to go. Serral is just chewing apart the bases. And you don't want to be forced into it. You want to pick your battles here as a Protoss, but the battlefield has been chosen. Serral has every opportunity to prepare. It's still a very dangerous army from Zoun. But Serral should be ready. Alright, feedback's good. Fungal catches some. Templar caught. Yanks in the mothership. Time warp is good, but the mothership is dead. Yanks in a void ray. Carriers kind of left to the side. Zerglings have taken out what little mining that Zoun has. Broodlords walking forward. There's only one Templar left. It makes very good use of its energy. But here comes everything. The parasitic bomb cast in the center mass. The wombo combo, the fungals, diving the corruptors on top, throwing the interceptors in, wiping them out with the parasitic bomb. The corruptors can clean up the rest. The carriers are being whittled down. In fact, he's ignoring them because he knows they're not a threat anymore. He may lose these corruptors, but the next wave he will not. The unit count is... He can't build interceptors. He's too poor to build interceptors. Oh, no. And those are... Yep. You know what counters carriers? Tempest. Serral also knows that. He borrows a few Tempests. And that's gonna be that. Serral goes to match point. Yeah, well, that was everything Game 1, wasn't it? Zoun never had any opportunity to do real damage. He tried the Archon drop, did nothing. He tried a lot and found very little. That was essentially no rush 10 minutes. And not because Zoun wasn't trying to do damage, but because Serral didn't let him. Serral just boxed him out at every turn. And, well, we're a lot closer to what seemed like the inevitable result of this series. It's Serral 2-1. Stargazers, though, is map 4. which, as a Zerg player, I'm surprised. I guess Waterfall or Moondance are vetoes that Serral may have preferred. Stargazers against Protoss is not as... let's use a fair word here. Horrible for Zerg as it is against Terran. And while Zoun did go Sky Toss in Game 1, it's not like he's rushing carrier. He really doesn't like it. I think if disruptors could hit air, Zoun would never build anything else. Like, but unfortunately for him, they do not. A tough match, but I think he just needs to force the issue earlier. You gotta put yourself out there. On inside and out, it didn't work out, but he very well could find an opening with the ground armor. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Twilight opener, just to mix it up this time around from Zoun. At least don't make us suffer through the Stargate opener again, okay? I don't have that much filler commentary. Go watch the second channel Nightmare Mode for a few minutes while we work through how many kills the Oracle won't get. Well, let's see. Confirms the base. Serral. I'm going to make another bow call. Queens. Was this a pull first? No. What am I saying? He's got the hatch down here. Not building warp gate, which means... Honestly, I like the play of building warp gate and then just going Stargate. I know it slows down your Stargate a bit, but it's essentially screaming I'm going Stargate. Occasionally players will delay warp gate and go Twilight. Like that is a little mind game as well. Because you're watching for the little animation on the Cybercore. Unfortunately, you don't have the big icons telling you what they're building as a player, obviously. But in seeing the warp gate delayed and the Adept come out, it's all but screaming at the Overlord, you're going Stargate. And Zoun does it. Not that that's going to matter much, as the point of the Stargate is to demonstrate, well, keep yourself safe early on, not to hide it from your opponent. Though he's building a Void Ray, which, ever since it was reverted some months ago, has been less of the all-around obvious choice and relegated to being just pretty good. Much to the dismay of every Diamond League barcode. Still very good at clearing those early OVs, just kind of an expensive choice as a unit en masse. Well, Serral actually notices the Void Ray before the Void Ray notices the Ovi. But we'll burn through it. So actually a little survival, but already building 2 more Ovis. He's got it under control. And now the question is of the follow-up. I don't think Serral's going to try anything. It's up to Zoun. More Stargates. Twilight. Disruptors. He's got the Oracle on the way, but 2 more gases. Show me your secrets. Oh yes, also is the Oracle. It gets 2 kills, and then he recalls it out. Oh my. And Twilight Forge. Okay. Well, the Zerglings test the door, find the Oracle, another Oracle. Even more oracles. Lair is on the way, and Serral, we're settling in. All right, settle in, settle in. What's it gonna be, Zoun? We try the Archons again. We got +1, blink. charge. Ooh. So very likely Archons complementing this. And he might use the beachhead strike, using that back base as a staging area. But we don't have a robo. It's the one thing, a robo for a prism. And without a prism, it does become very hard to warp in a bunch of charge lots to your opponent's base. We will see. John, acknowledging that, builds a robo. Just in case we weren't sure where this was going. He removes the doubt. Void Ray trying to deal with the Overseer, but the Overseer will see all the relevant info. Unfortunately for Zhao, he built the Twilight and Forge at the natural. In fact, I think he spotted the robo timing as well. Infestation Pit on the way. He's been loving that quick hive. Vipers pulling apart, literally and figuratively, Zhao's unit composition. So, we'll see if he tries it again. This might even be a Swarm Host game, but... What? Okay, I mean, totally a Swarm Host game. I was fully committed to that. I knew it was going to happen. And, I had no doubt. Yes, and there it is, indeed. Swarm Host Nidus. Gonna try to turn the turntables here on Zhao. Wow. Okay. If you can get that first wave of locusts before this really just negates all the warp-ins there. You can't risk having your units across the map. This is directly countering the main advantage of the warp prism here. Of course, at the same time, you have to make sure you have enough units at home. Does he even have a Baneling Nest? No. He skipped the Baneling Nest to go for the Swarm Host. The Nidus might give it away. The Natural looking like a snack right now for the Swarm Host, but the fourth base for Serral gonna be taken out. There is a stasis in there that gets triggered. The Locusts. Are they gonna kill the Nexus? A bit of an awkward... Oh, they get it. All right, and they depower the Forge and the Twilight. Oh no, and he left an Archon! Ah! Those things are expensive. And it does feel like... Well, there's a bunch of charge slots in the main. Things are getting real awkward real fast. More Archons targeted down. Oracles contributing. Swarm Host Nidus in the... looking for the back base here. The charge lots dealt with by the reinforcing Roaches. There's still a bunch of Roaches at the front. The Oracles are running out of energy. The Archon has to run away here. Will get taken out by the Roaches. The Locusts are just too much in waves upon waves. Serral finally the aggressor. Oh god, it's just an empty base. It's so sad. Just like Zhao's chances in this. Oh my god, a 100 supply gap. Of course, the Swarm Host only really manifesting that supply about a third of the time, but that third of the time is incredibly dangerous to Zhao's livelihood. Well, this is bad for a Protoss player here. The finisher looking to lay it down in Game 4. Not willing to go any further with those Skytoss shenanigans. Instead, breaks out the Swarm Host. Ricky and the boys making a cameo appearance. And what does Zhao really have? It isn't like he's running out. He's got 48 probes on 2 bases. He's got a bunch of Zealots and Stalkers. Not ideal. He's getting outflanked by Roaches. That's it. It's over. Serral wins. Wow, what a roller coaster of a series. I mean, like an initial dramatic game from Zhao and then just kind of downhill from there. Zhao getting outmaneuvered by the Swarm Hosts. And Serral powers through. That was a lot. There was a lot going on in that series. Swarm Host finding real value, and amusingly, our shortest game was the Swarm Host Nidus game. Well, there you go. Serral 3-1. If you enjoyed that, though, you might enjoy this. Jimmy, put the game up, not the Twitch channel. And thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, ring all the bells. Thank you, DreamHack and ESL. Thank you for watching. I hope I made your day a little bit better. See you next time. Stay stay chill.